If Jack had opened the door that night, maybe Emma would still be alive. November 2019, New York City. It was raining heavily. The streets were empty, and the cold wind made the whole city feel lonely. But for a girl standing outside a small apartment building, this was not just another rainy night. Her name was Emma Carter, and in just a few hours, she was going to die. Emma and Jack had been together for almost 3 years. They loved each other deeply. They met in college. Emma loved photography, and Jack wanted to become a music producer. They were very different people. Emma was emotional and sensitive. Jack was calm and practical. But during the last few months, Emma had started changing. She became nervous all the time. Sometimes she looked over her shoulder while walking. Sometimes she would panic for no reason. She often told Jack, "I feel like someone is watching me." But Jack never took it seriously. He thought she was just stressed. Slowly, this became the reason for many fights between them. And then came the night that destroyed everything. That evening, the rain started early. Emma called Jack again and again. At first, he ignored the calls. Finally, he answered with irritation. Emma sounded scared. "Jack, please listen to me. I'm really scared." But Jack was already frustrated. "Emma, enough. Not everything is a horror movie." "But someone is following me." "You're overthinking again." There was silence for a few seconds. Then Emma quietly asked, "Can I come over?" Jack closed his eyes in anger. "I just want to be alone tonight." And he hung up. But Emma did not stop trying. She called again. Then she sent messages. Then voicemails. But Jack put his phone on silent mode. He thought everything would be fine in the morning. He had no idea that at the same moment, Emma was standing outside his apartment in the rain, shivering, crying, completely alone. According to the security camera footage, Emma stayed there for almost 2 hours. She kept ringing the doorbell. Sometimes she sat on the hallway floor. Sometimes she cried while calling Jack. Sometimes she leaned her head against the apartment door. But inside the apartment, Jack was wearing headphones and listening to loud music. He heard nothing. Around 1 a.m., Emma finally left. And just 17 minutes later, her car crashed into a highway divider. The police called it an accident. Heavy rain, loss of control, instant death. Case closed. But the real story started after that. After Emma's death, Jack completely changed. He blamed himself for what happened. Every night he kept thinking, if I had answered her calls, maybe she would still be alive. He stopped going to work, stopped meeting friends, stopped leaving the apartment. The neighbors said he often stood alone in the hallway late at night, as if he was waiting for someone. Sometimes they saw him staring outside during storms. And the strangest thing was, he often talked to himself, as if someone else was inside the apartment with him. At first, people thought it was grief, but then strange things started happening. Neighbors heard 2 voices coming from Jack's apartment at night, a man's voice and a woman crying, even though Jack lived alone. Sometimes footsteps were heard in the hallway. Sometimes glasses broke in the kitchen by themselves. Sometimes wet fingerprints appeared on the bathroom mirror. And a few neighbors even claimed they saw a girl in a white hoodie standing in the hallway. But whenever they walked closer, she disappeared. Slowly, even Jack started believing that someone else was inside the apartment. One night, he clearly heard someone crying outside his bedroom door. He opened the door nervously. The hallway was empty, but the floor was wet, as if someone had just walked in from the rain. That was the first night Jack truly became afraid. But the worst part was still waiting for him. Exactly 3 months after Emma's death, at 2:11 a.m., Jack received a message. Sender, Emma Carter. His blood turned cold. because Emma's phone was still locked in police evidence. With shaking hands, Jack opened the message. It said only one sentence. "Why didn't you open the door?" Jack stared at the screen in horror. Then he typed, "Who is this?" Scene. Typing. Typing. Then another message arrived. "I waited outside for 2 hours." At that exact moment, the apartment lights started flickering. On, off, on. Then Jack heard a sound in the hallway. Knock. Like a wet hand touching the wall. Jack slowly walked toward the hallway. The floor was wet, and there were footprints. Wet footprints leading toward Emma's old room. The same room Jack had never opened after her death. The door was slightly open, even though he clearly remembered locking it. Slowly, the door opened by itself. Creak. The room was dark, but someone was standing in the corner. A girl. Long, wet hair. White hoodie. Head lowered. Jack's heart started pounding. Emma? No answer. Then his phone vibrated again. Look at the security camera. Jack opened the apartment camera app with trembling hands, and the moment the footage started playing, his breathing stopped. It was not live footage. It was the recording from the night Emma died. Emma was standing outside the apartment, soaked by the rain, crying, pressing the doorbell again and again. And inside the apartment, Jack was wearing headphones and listening to loud music. He could not hear anything. Then Emma looked directly into the camera one last time. There was more than fear in her eyes. There was pain. The kind of pain someone feels when they realize nobody is coming to help them. Then she took out her phone. At the same moment, Jack's screen flashed. 27 missed calls. Emma. His hands started shaking. He did not even remember there were that many calls. In the video, Emma slowly walked back toward the street. The rain became heavier. Then, bright headlights, a loud horn, and a horrifying crash sound. The video suddenly ended. Jack fell to the floor, crying. "Emma, I'm sorry." Then a voice came from behind him, very close, so close that he could feel cold air touching his neck. "I know." Jack slowly turned around, and there she was, Emma, wet, broken, her face badly injured from the accident. But there was no anger in her eyes, only sadness, deep, painful sadness. Black tears rolled down her face. "I didn't want to die alone, Jack." Jack collapsed onto the floor. "Please forgive me." Emma slowly walked closer. Water spread across the floor with every step she took. "When the car crashed, I was still alive for 6 minutes. Jack's whole body trembled, and I kept calling you. Then suddenly, a terrible smell filled the apartment, like rotting flesh. Jack looked around in fear. What is that smell? Emma looked at him sadly. You still don't understand, do you? At that moment, the TV turned on by itself. A news report appeared on the screen. Local man found dead inside apartment. And the photo on the screen was Jack. The news reporter said, "Police believe the man died from an overdose nearly 3 days ago." Jack froze. Slowly, he looked at his own hands. His skin looked pale. His fingers were rotting. And then he finally realized the truth. The smell inside the apartment was not Emma's body. It was his. After hearing about Emma's death, Jack had taken too many sleeping pills with alcohol, and he had died alone inside the apartment. But his guilt was so strong, he never realized he was already dead. Tears filled his eyes. "So, I died alone too." Emma slowly nodded. Then she sat beside him. For the first time since her death, She held his hand, ice cold. Now you know how it felt. After that night, the apartment was closed forever. But even today, people in New York still talk about the building. They say that if you stand outside on a rainy night at exactly 2:11 a.m., you can sometimes see a girl standing in the hallway window, wearing a white hoodie, completely soaked from the rain, and behind her, a man desperately banging on a door. Some people say it is Jack. Some say it is Emma. But almost every witness claims they hear the same crying voice coming from the hallway. "Jack, please open the door."